Welcome to another episode of What I Learned from Bobby Hemmit. In this episode, I will talk about cloning. I will research and try to show evidence for what I am saying. I am starting this talk unplanned, but I am inspired by a channel called Fame vs. Sacrifice that speaks about basically murders of celebrities for fame, meaning that someone that is famous has had to get a family member or very close friend murdered, because that's the real word, murdered. It almost sounds, it's a euphemistic to even say sacrifice, because sacrifice makes you think that we're talking about witches and warlocks and devils, okay? That puts you in the realm of fantasy and superstition. Murder puts you in the realm of reality, of taking someone's life unprovoked, unnecessarily, and for an ulterior motive of unnecessary, not by necessity, okay, for jealousy, money. I think, yeah, those two are the number two. They're the number one things that cause people to murder, as well as basically being unconscious. And if you are a non-melanated person, if you are the beast, that is your nature, period. You get energy from killing. So I'm going to just piece this together little by little, because I want to address a very big fallacy that people are falling for. And so I'm just going to talk freely, very quickly, but in the other pieces that I add, I will do some research on DNA and genes and cloning. But the one thing I want to make you think about is this question. They are trying to say that, oh, this is a clone of him. It's not the real person. I want you to think about what you're saying. Number one, you should know that they have a genome project for decades now where they map out the genes. What does that mean? It means they isolate the gene. What does that mean? They isolate the DNA. What does that mean? They take apart the strands. What does that mean? It means that they are doing a reverse deconstruction of the DNA to see what little pieces go together to form what pieces of the genes go together to have an outcome. That outcome may be your skin is brown. That outcome may be your hair is curly. That outcome may be these genes control the nervous system. These genes control your height. These genes control your muscle development. These genes control your estrogen. These genes, I mean, there is every single microscopic thing about you is controlled by a cell. And your cells, inside your cell is DNA, okay? So your whole body is made of a universe of cells, DNA, and all of these pieces have a job that they do, and they have a consciousness that they are alive, and they do their function. They are energetic entity as well. And it does, you have information from your ancestors in your DNA. But what we're talking about is the physical makeup of your body. Okay, so put that point aside as the definition of DNA and cells, which are synonymous because DNA is inside the cell. The cell is just the bigger word that we use to label a piece of DNA, basically. So they have mapped the genes, a lot of them, okay, and they know the little piece of gene that will control hair color, eye color. They know little pieces, but nature works by diversity. So if you are not being a beast that marries his cousin and creates genetically deficient entities, you are the natural person that when you have a mate, you have somebody different, and your genes are always mixing. Diversity is strength. There is strength in diversity because you're always making something new. You bring two new things together, masculine, feminine, okay, then you create something new that's a child that has a mixture of them, but completely different. So let's put that point on the side. Now, we are acknowledging that they have isolated some genes, but there's too many. They can't isolate every single one. And they have experimented enough on plants to fuck up the whole plant system now. To even find the gene that produces the seed and fucking remove that gene, and then you got a fucking plant that doesn't produce seeds. All right, they know the color gene. Okay, they can fuck up shit and start giving you different colored fruit that was never meant to be, that does not have the electromagnetic field of light from the sun that gives it consciousness and the pure energy of life. So let's put that aside. We know that. There's evidence of that. Now, apply it to people. Do you think, first of all, think about how you're born. Yes, they have you in a fucking petri dish now. They can create a human by putting the cells, the beginning cells, in a fucking petri dish and stick you in a fucking incubator and let you grow from there. And then, well, put the cells inside a woman so that the rest of the process can be done. Okay, they can start you out, but you still need to be in the womb. Please stop and think. Don't give them that much power. Do you think they can actually recreate an entire human being? If so, how are they doing that? You need to be in a womb. Okay, They have done it with animals though. They have created an artificial womb. I saw it online. They have the animal birthed from a sack, a literal plastic bag that obviously is regulated with liquid food and temperature controlled and things like that. But to be honest, you don't know how much of that process they were able to do because you only see a photo. You don't know if that animal, that could be a setup, that could be staged to make you think they're at that level. Okay, that could be staged and maybe the animal died, that they were able to do it that way but the animal died. I'm not going to question that. I'm just telling you that I have seen a photo of that and it can make you think that they are on that level, but I'm challenging you to think more. Number 2 is, can you speed up the development of a human body? Do you think you can speed up the development of a human body? That is really the only question I need you to answer and think about with your brain. You cannot speed up time. They can do a lot of things, but you cannot speed up time. With animals, they can speed up, they can artificially speed up the growth artificially to make the animal, the muscles maybe a little bit fatter, uh, the body a little more plump, but the actual age of that animal is not speeded up. It is a smaller animal that you have added weight to it. It's still biologically the same age. You have just increased its size with steroids and a myriad of other chemical shit that they do to fucking animals. So please, stop and think about what you're saying when you say, oh, so-and-so's a clone. So-and-so's a clone. That's a clone. You're giving the beast too much credit. He cannot speed up the human development. You cannot speed up time. You can't control time. There is a cycle to nature. There's a cycle to nature. And when it's time, it's time. When it's time, it's time. You can't speed up the seasons. You can fuck with the weather, but the natural cycle of the universe, you're not going to mess with that. You can create imbalance of weather in pockets, okay? But overall in a bigger area, you cannot just say, okay, winter is going to be here forever, because they don't have control over a big space. They can spray something in the clouds, and by the use of alchemy, create snow and create an unending long-term bad weather. Okay, they can create that out of season. They can create with sonic waves, they can create a motherfucking tsunami under the ocean. So they are at that level. However, please ask yourself, can they speed up the human development? Nobody can do that. Nobody. It takes you 9 months in the womb, because everything in nature is on a cycle and a balance. It's on a cycle, it's on a time. 9, the real numbers in the universe, and they say this in math too. Oh, the real numbers are only 1 through 9. That is the mathematical formula of the universe. It's only based on numbers 1 through 9. There is no such number as anything after 9. That is for people that are on the Bobby Hemmit frequency. 1 through 9, or you can say 0 through 9 are the only numbers. Everything else is confusion and chaos and imbalance. And every other number turns back into only 0 through 9. So all these other numbers, you don't even need them. They cause confusion. They have created a system of madness with infinite numbers to cover up the basic laws of the universe that are based on 0 through 9. The number 12 is really the number 3, because it's 1 plus 2. These numbers have a frequency. They are the formulas they are standard formulas that are unchanging in the universe. The universe is not dependent on the beast to create information or knowledge. The universe has its own sacred knowledge and its own balance and harmony and ma'at based on energetic principles that are God's. For you to comprehend as a human form, because even your and I'm saying something new right now, even your existence as a human being is alchemy, because you came from spirit. You came out of the nothing, comes the something. So that is alchemy. Your whole life is alchemy. You started as an infant, right? Then a toddler, then a child, a teenager, and you're doing a metamorphosis, completely changing. Even all the cells in your body are not what they were when you were a baby. And then you have your hormones changing things. And then you go in a circle, right? You go from young to growing, and then, well, because we're at such a degenerate level, we succumb to something called death, which is life again, which is something that you're programmed not to think about. Death is the best thing that can happen to you, because you don't die. That's the whole point. You don't die. You get to live again if you choose, reincarnate if you choose, if you're conscious, to come back down on the earth plane and enjoy Eden. However, the beast has fucked up this whole place, so that's why we need to destroy it. And Bobby has said that we are going into a completely new paradigm, that you're not going back to living like a human being. You're going back to the God stage. And that is something I can't even describe to you because I don't know about it. But I know that's where you're going. You're going back to the God stage. You know, enough of this low level, low vibrational bullshit we're doing down here. So, let me bring this back around to cloning. Are you going to give the beast that much credit to say that he can control time and speed up time for the growth of the human body? Now, for me, this is direct common sense. But I have, actually, I don't even want to say common sense because common sense is not common. This is my own sense. My own sense tell me this. I don't want to have fucking common sense because common sense are for the sheeple and masses that don't think for 1 second. They believe what's on that TV. And I think I know that the level that I am thinking and the spiritual growth that I am at, okay, the spiritual growth level that I am at, as Bobby has said, it is kind of predestined. I mean, you're either on this frequency or not. But I do credit maybe the I do credit some of it from not watching so much TV, like in my childhood. Like we played outside a lot. I know this sounds very basic and you know, like so what, but it affects you a lot. I lived in my imagination, you know. We got to go outside, play hide and seek, ride bikes, play in the clay, walk to school. I mean, that's an experience that most people, even in my generation, most people didn't walk to school. It was enjoyable to walk to school. I don't feel any burden to walk or exercise my body. This is normal for me. But children nowadays, I think they don't get to do these kinds of things freely for different reasons. And that makes them different. That makes them a completely different person, different experiences. So I just added that personal information in there, that everything about you affects your thinking today. So my low level of TV exposure, I think, helps with who I am and thinking for myself. Yeah, and the way I was raised, I wasn't around a crowd of people, but I never followed a crowd of people. Even though I'm Pisces and they tend to try to please people, I never followed a crowd. Everybody liked me already just like how I was. Exactly how I was. They liked me just like that. I never was in a big group. I could go in all the groups. The smokers, the rockers, the nerds, the popular kids. I knew people in all of those circles. So anyway, that's just me. The bottom line is, are you going to give the beast that much credit to say that he can control time? He has given you an illusion of time, and I don't want to get all into that. With 365 days that don't, everything should convert back to the number 9. 365, let me just write it down because I thought about it before, does not convert back to the number 9. Actually, no, it does. What am I talking about? It does because it has a 9 in it. No, 365. Yeah, it does have a 9. No, that does convert to 9 again. But anyway, you know there's some fuckery with the calendar. Why? Because he says some days are 30 and some days are 31. Mother Nature doesn't work like that. Mother Nature is always in balance, perfection. Everything takes care of everything. You have ants that are decomposers on a microscopic level. You don't need to tell the ant, hey, there's something dead over there. Can you go clean it up? You don't need to tell the insects to do anything. They do their job. That is what I'm saying. Everything takes care of everything. The birds groom the hairy animals. The alligators munch on some of the zebras. And there's enough for everybody, right? There's enough for everybody. The birds are producing enough eggs to afford some of the eggs not living, some of the birds getting kicked out of the nest. You can't stop nature. This beast is trying to stop us. All I want to do is just point out to you the ludicrousness of you saying that such and such has been cloned, such and such has been cloned. You can't speed up the time of a human body. You can't. An animal, you can make them bigger, but the time of whatever his age is the same. You're misinterpreting. The sheeple have misinterpreted the concept of cloning. Cloning means you just made a copy of it, but not a complete human body. Please challenge your thinking on that. They can do a lot of shit with your melanin, but making a carbon copy of you, it's going to take however long it took Mother Nature to make you, then that's how long it's going to take to make another human being. I don't understand why people are even thinking that you can just instantly produce a human being. But, I've heard this enough and too much, and I feel, I'm compelled even to stop what I'm doing and talk about it. Now, hopefully I will have inserted some video to just show a little bit of research of cloning plants, animals, the HeLa cells. But please wake up about cloning an entire person. What they do, how do I want to say? I don't want to say do, but what they do, how do I say? What they do perform on celebrities is MK Ultra, which is torture to the level that you're, when you have a very serious injury or pain that your body can't even take mentally, your body will black out. That's your protective system. Your body, you will black out, or faint, or go in a coma. One of those things, depending on the degree of pain. Then you also will be numb. The pain is so excruciating, your body will stop feeling that pain, and that's a protective mechanism. But it also is letting you know the severity of the damage that your nerves have gotten cut. Okay, it's either one of those things. Okay, it can be your nerves have gotten broken, or the body is trying to help you by you not feeling that pain because it's too much for you. So the MK Ultra is so severe and wicked. Your brain, you want to forget that it happened. The protective mechanism is for you to forget that it happened. So then you can divide personalities with people. And I'm speaking about this very generally. You can research it yourself. You can divide the personality of somebody, and you can have the tortured personality you have trained to obey certain signals, hand signals. I'm embarrassed to say sexual signals. You will do things that you normally wouldn't. You basically turn into like a trained dog. Why? Because subconsciously you remember that pain and you're going to avoid that pain. So you're going to do whatever that personality was trained to do under the MK Ultra. You know, I'm just now thinking of something. It's kind of like training an elephant. I don't know the details of training an elephant, okay, nor a lion. And it's not something that they show video of. But obviously, the lion is more powerful than you. Obviously, the elephant can squash you to the ground with his foot. But you have abused that animal, and the animal doesn't realize its own power against you. So you have chained that animal, and you have abused that animal since he was little, probably. So he doesn't know his own power. So bingo, I just said something very profound, and it applies to black people. You don't know your own power because you've been beat down on all levels, psychologically, socially, mentally, psychically, ritualistically, every fucking place you go. You don't know your own power. So, let me put a period on that point. I think I have made some points of value. The overall thing that made me make this audio is to challenge your thinking about cloning, and don't give the beast that much credit, because you know your thoughts are being used. That's another thing. What you think matters, because everything is a frequency. So what you believe is reality, especially for black people. If you want to believe this beast can clone somebody, then that can turn into a reality. But what I'm telling you is that it's not. Nature still has control of time. And that is what the beast is worried about. That's one thing he can't fucking control is time. And his time is up. His time is up. So please let us wake up. And I will conclude by saying that we command all ancestors to speak to the minds of anyone listening to this voice right now, to my voice, as I declare that I am a God, and so is everyone that's listening to me. And may we all increase in the power of destruction of our godhood just by our thoughts. And may you talk out loud to yourself more and use your voice as the sword that it is. All thanks to Bobby Hemmit.